A very, very warm welcome to yet another Kumekucha video. Information and analysis that is very difficult to find anywhere else. I recommend that you subscribe and you hit the bell button so that you receive notifications every time I have a new video. Karibu sana and enjoy.
Hebu inua mkono sema Embakasi South. Elekeza mkono Embakasi South. Sema Mungu tusaidie Mawadhi ashinde kwa kura nyingi zaidi. If you even think Kalonzo hajafanya lolote, wewe jiulize. Kama sio Kalonzo na Wiper, call it ODM Kenya kuungana na mzee Kibaki, Kenya hii ingekuwa wapi leo? Sasa ikiwa Kalonzo amekupa usingizi ulale, hata huyo huwezi kusema asante. Kwamba tuungane with other communities, tumsaidie ndugu Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Kama Uhuru Kenyatta atasema after the new constitution tumeiunda, na aseme ndugu Kalonzo mimi nataka kuendelea mbele, nitamwambia nitakusupport. I said it. Unanielewa? Lakini kama atasema Kalonzo hii mzigo hii chukua, unganisha Kenya, mkadha kama umembau. So, Kumekucha. What I propose to do ni kumwalika President Uhuru Kenyatta. Na katika mwaliko huo, tutawauzisha wote magavana wetu, waheshimiwa wabunge wetu, maseneta wetu, ili aje afungue Thake Dam, aanze kazi ya construction of Thake Dam, 67 billion shillings. Hiyo maji ya Thake Dam ndio itakuja Konza City, headquarter ya Kenya imeanza kurudi Ukambani.
Maendeleo Chapchap Party does not support any proposal to remove presidential term limits. We have to be very careful. We do not go backwards to the period of dictatorship. We worked very hard in this country to remove that one-party state and to remove forms of dictatorships that had taken our country back. So we do not support at all any proposal to remove presidential term limits. It is also important to note that we've got a young generation in this country that has been denied leadership over the years by leaders clinging into power forever and ever. So our youth need to have an opportunity to dream and to be able to achieve their dreams and to aspire to higher positions. And this cannot happen when you start removing presidential term limits. Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka's proposal to remove presidential term limits and to extend President Uhuru Kenyatta's term in 2022 is a confirmation that he is no longer in the presidential race in 2022. We hope and we expect that he's going to stick to this new position and not shift goalposts or flip-flop, as some Kenyan leaders are known to do, where they say one thing today, take one position, tomorrow they have done another thing, and tomorrow, and all that. And as we say that a leader should be a person who takes a position and sticks to that position. I'm surprised when people want to be presidents and yet they are so wishy-washy. How can you trust somebody who keeps on changing their positions to be your commander-in-chief of the defense forces? You cannot. Some positions require stability of mind, purpose, and position in terms of what you want to do.
Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka is very interested, in fact is very determined to vie for the presidency in 2022. However, Bwana Kalonzo Musyoka also supports President Uhuru Kenyatta, so much so that if Uhuru Kenyatta was to give any hint of wanting to run for a third term, Kalonzo Musyoka would fully support and fully back a constitutional amendment, extending the 2 terms, that a president is allowed to run to 3 or more. Now, bear in mind that Bwana Kalonzo Musyoka is a lawyer. He's trained in the law. He understands fully the consequences, the repercussions, everything, that has to do with extending the term limit of the presidency. He is also well aware of the price that was paid to limit the presidential term in Kenya. It was a very heavy price. People died. Blood was spilled. Indeed, it has been famously said, constitutions are written in blood. And so, taking all those factors into consideration, this statement coming from the mouth of Kalonzo Musyoka is more than strange. It is bizarre. So, what is really going on here? Okay, let's start with the really scary thing. Last week, Kalonzo Musyoka hosted David Murathe at his farm in Yatta. At the same meeting were other leading leaders, leading lights within their combination, MCAs, MPs, etc., etc. And at that meeting, David Murathe said that he was prepared to work with Kalonzo Musyoka. In fact, he further said that he will travel countrywide with Kalonzo Musyoka. But of course, he didn't make it clear what they would be campaigning for. Because we know Bwana Murathe's favored presidential candidate is a man called Musalia Mudavadi. And then at the same meeting where Kalonzo Musyoka said he would support an extension of the presidential term, Kalonzo Musyoka also said that he was going to invite President Uhuru Kenyatta, to a Wiper meeting. And so the very scary thing here, based on the way Kenyan politics works, is that Kalonzo Musyoka's statement suggesting an extension of the presidential term was something he was told to say. By who? By Bwana David Murathe. And what would the motive be? To test the waters. You test the waters to see how much work you will need to do, to get the idea being resisted across, to make it successful. Now that is a theory, a very scary theory. A theory informed by the fact that Kalonzo Musyoka has made it very clear that he's ready to do anything, to get close to the Uhuru Kenyatta administration. And this should hardly be surprising, because that's the only politics Kalonzo Musyoka knows. He got close to the late Mulu Mutisia, and that way he got into parliament. He got close to the former president, Daniel Arap Moi, and he was made a cabinet minister. In fact, at one time, the cabinet minister in charge of foreign affairs, a very, very powerful docket. And after Kalonzo Musyoka's failed presidential bid in 2007, he got close to Mwai Kibaki, so that he could get a position in Kibaki's government during his second term, which indeed he got because he was appointed vice president. And so clearly, there's a history there. And clearly, although what I have just given you is a theory, this is a theory that cannot be so quickly dismissed. Why? Because there's a history. Now, of course, extending the term, getting rid of the term limit, presidential term limit, would be just madness. It would be crazy, disaster. Why? Because incumbents in Kenya never lose elections. Even if they've got much fewer votes, they never lose elections. They always voted back into office. And we have many examples. Mwai Kibaki in 2007, Uhuru Kenyatta in 2017, Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi in 1992, and again in 1997. You see, if you're trying to remove an incumbent from office, an incumbent president, what you're actually doing is trying to defeat state machinery, which is impossible. So when you scrap the term limit for the president, actually what you're saying is that you're opening the door for life presidents. Because as long as a man remains commander-in-chief, and in full control of state machinery, they can never be voted out as president. So in fact, there's no need even to have presidential elections. And it is for this reason that, in my view, I would recommend that instead of scrapping the term limit, for the president, in order to solve this state machinery manenos, a presidential 2 terms should be staggered. What do I mean? I mean that we should amend the law, making it illegal, making it not possible for a president to run for 2 consecutive terms. So what that means is that if a president wants 2 terms in office, he gets elected the first time, then he has to wait for somebody else to take over the presidency, for 5 years, and then wait, for after those 5 years to try and seek to be elected again. This kind of amendment to our constitution would go a long way, in dealing with the force and the power of state machinery in getting presidents re-elected. Now, of course, I'm aware of the fact that it's not a foolproof solution, because what the incumbent can do is to get a puppet elected, like what has happened in the Democratic Republic of Congo. That, of course, is very possible, even if you stagger presidential terms. However, if you understand politics, it means that it will be much easier, politically, to reject this puppet who has been forced on the people, rather than to reject the incumbent himself, who has already enjoyed 5 years of being in power. Now, let us look at something else. What is the other possible motive for Kalonzo Musyoka to talk like this? To talk about scrapping the limit on the presidential terms? Well, my colleague Hezron has an interesting theory. He says it is the famous Kamba crab mentality at work. Now, what is crab mentality? Now, please bear with me, because there are some Kenyans who have no idea what a crab is, let alone what crab mentality means. Now, there are things called crabs, the delicacies, which you can sell to restaurants. And those things are found, or those animals rather, are found along the beach. Now, in most instances, you'll find those people collecting crabs, having quite a number of those crabs in a bucket, and the bucket is not covered. And therefore you ask yourself, why don't the crabs escape? Well, those who catch crabs will tell you. And they will also tell you why they'd prefer to catch 2 crabs at once when they start the whole exercise. Why? Because if they catch 1 crab, it will escape. But if they catch at least 2, they can be sure they will never escape. Why? Because immediately one crab tries to climb up out of the bucket, the other crab will pull it down back into the bucket. So no crab will escape, because not a single crab is prepared to allow the other one, its colleague, its brother, to escape before it escapes itself. And so politically, what it has meant is that leading lights in the combination have found it elusive when one of them wants to seek higher office. And even outside politics, this can be seen very clearly in the business environment in places like Machakos. Somebody who is not a Kamba will come into Machakos town and prosper and do well very quickly. But if somebody within the Kamba nation tries to put up a business in Machakos, they'll find a lot of opposition. And sometimes this opposition can even extend to witchcraft spells to make sure their businesses don't work. Why? Because of crab mentality. Pull down your fellow Kamba, and let a Kikuyu or somebody, or a Luya, or somebody from the coast to come into town and prosper. But never allow a fellow Kamba, a fellow brother, a fellow tribesman to succeed. In other words, according to Hezron, Kalonzo Musyoka is saying, if I cannot be president, then let nobody else be president. Let Uhuru remain president. An extension of the crab mentality beyond the combination. Because Mr. Musyoka's leading competitors don't hail from Ukambani. And according to Hezron, We saw this very clearly in 2007. When a close Kalonzo Musyoka aide, a man called Daniel Manzo, took off with the Orange Democratic Party certificate, the certificate of the political party. In other words, what Kalonzo Musyoka was saying by this action was that if I cannot be president, if I cannot be the nominee for ODM, then let Kibaki win a second term. Because you, Raila, will not be able to run. You're partyless. You don't have a party, a political party. And at that time, the Constitution said there was no way anybody would vie for the presidency without belonging to a political party. And later, it became very clear that Kalonzo Musyoka was working very closely with Mwai Kibaki because he was quickly appointed vice president, long before the dust had settled and long before the Grand Coalition government, which included everybody, was formed. Now, I don't know what to make out of Hezron's theory. However, I have to admit that he has got the historical evidence and backing, to make his thesis at least worth looking at. That's my view. But whatever happens, Kalonzo Musyoka has got a very serious problem. And that serious problem is a man called Governor Alfred Mutua. The man is serving his last term as governor of Machakos. He cannot run for a third term. And so is very interested in the presidential race in 2022. So that even if he's not a major candidate, even if he cannot win those elections, he will be somewhere in the lineup of the person who actually wins those elections. And so even as Kalonzo Musyoka strategizes on how to face his other competitors, things will certainly not be comfortable in his own backyard. And this should make things extremely interesting. Until next time, this is Kshs, Kumekucha.